There is a leafy green that quietly outperforms spinach on almost every nutrition chart, yet most people hear about it for the first time as a warning. In kitchens where it has been eaten for centuries, it has a nickname that says everything you need to know about its power. When the clinic is too far away, people go to this plant instead. Walk through a village in the Yucatan just after sunrise and you will see it everywhere, planted as living fences along dusty paths, tall shrubs with star-shaped leaves being cut into baskets for breakfast. Those same leaves are simmered with eggs, folded into tortillas, blended into stews, and for many families they are the main leafy vegetable they eat all year. Yet if you search for this plant in many gardening forums or extension bulletins, the first word that shows up is not food or superfood, it is toxic. So how did one of the most nutrient-dense greens in the tropics end up with a reputation that scares people away before they ever taste it? The plant is chaya, Cnidoscolus aconitifolius, often called tree spinach or Mayan spinach. Botanically, it is a perennial shrub in the spurge family, not related to true spinach at all, but to the people who have grown it since pre-Columbian times, it is simply a dependable leafy food that comes back after every harvest. It can reach 3 to 5 meters tall, thrives in heat, tolerates poor soils, and shrugs off many of the insect and disease problems that wipe out more delicate vegetables. From a gardener's point of view, this is already unusual, a leafy green that behaves more like a hardy hedge than a fragile annual. But the real reason chaya deserves your attention is what is hiding inside those leaves. When researchers compared cooked chaya leaves to cooked spinach on a per 100 grams basis, the tree spinach came out ahead on almost every major nutrient they measured. Protein content was roughly double that of spinach, meaning the same volume of greens delivers far more building blocks for your body. Calcium levels in chaya were reported at around twice those in spinach, giving it a serious edge for bone health in households that cannot afford dairy. Iron values were also about 2 times higher than spinach, an important detail in regions where anemia is common and iron tablets are a luxury. On top of that, chaya leaves carried more vitamin A precursors and vitamin C, plus significant amounts of potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and other minerals. In one analysis from West Africa, dried chaya leaves showed high carbohydrate and fiber content and notable amounts of iron and calcium, potassium and magnesium, suggesting they could make a real dent in common nutrient deficiencies when used regularly. If you add those numbers up, you get a simple truth. Gram for gram, properly cooked chaya leaf is not just competing with spinach, it is leaving it behind. So why does a plant with this kind of nutritional profile get dismissed as dangerous in so many conversations? The answer lies in the same defense strategy that many important food plants use, like cassava, lima beans, sorghum, and several other staple crops. Raw chaya leaves contain cyanogenic glycosides, compounds that can release hydrogen cyanide when plant cells are damaged and the wrong enzymes meet. Hydrogen cyanide is the same fast-acting toxin you hear about in poison stories, and in high enough doses, it can interfere with cellular respiration and become lethal. That sounds terrifying until you realize that we already eat a long list of cyanogenic foods, including cassava roots, certain bamboo shoots, and some varieties of lima beans, as daily staples in many parts of the world. The difference between a deadly root and a safe meal is not the plant. It is the processing. With chaya, the line between toxic shrub and powerhouse vegetable is drawn by a pot of boiling water and 20 minutes of patience. Studies using cyanide detection papers and chemical assays found that raw chaya leaves and even the tender stems can release measurable hydrogen cyanide, but that extended boiling drives those compounds off as gas and into the cooking water. In replicated tests, cyanide could no longer be detected in the plant tissues after about 15 to 20 minutes of boiling, while the water they were cooked in still contained traces of the compounds, which is why traditional instructions insist that you throw that water away. Extension organizations working with farmers in the tropics now give very simple safety rules. Never eat chaya raw, Always boil the leaves in plenty of water for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Never drink or reuse the cooking liquid, and do not rely on steaming, microwaving, or juicing to remove the toxin. Follow those steps, and boiled chaya has been eaten safely in Mexico, Central America, and beyond for generations. Ignore them and you are effectively chewing on a cyanide delivery system. This is where the reputation problem starts. For people who grew up with chaya, there is nothing exotic or frightening about these rules. You harvest, you boil, you drain, you eat. For someone encountering it for the first time through a warning label or a social media post, the only part that sticks is the word poison. And so a plant that could be supplying cheap protein, iron and calcium all year in hot climates is left standing as nothing more than a thorny ornamental in far too many yards. Ethnobotanical research on chaya's history paints a very different picture from the fear-based comments you often see. Fieldwork in Mesoamerica documents chaya as a long domesticated food and medicine plant, propagated mostly by stem cuttings and kept as hedges around homes, with women often managing and harvesting the shrubs. It appears to have originated in the Yucatan and nearby regions, then spread through Guatemala, Belize, and into parts of the Caribbean, where it became a quiet staple. In some communities, chaya dishes are tied to specific ceremonies and life events, which tells you this was not emergency food. It was woven into daily culture. Modern nutrition and pharmacology studies have been trying to catch up to what those communities already knew from experience. Analyses of chaya leaf extracts show not just macronutrients and minerals, but a range of phytochemicals, flavonoids, phenolic compounds, saponins, and others with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity in test systems. Experiments in diabetic animal models have reported reduced blood sugar levels when chaya extracts were given over several weeks, suggesting potential anti-diabetic effects that now need careful human trials. Other work has pointed to possible liver protection, lipid lowering, and antimicrobial properties, again mostly in controlled laboratory or animal settings. What these results do not mean is that chaya is a magic cure for disease. What they do mean is that when you combine its nutrient density with its bioactive compounds, it looks more like a serious functional food than a random hedge. From a food security angle, agronomists rank chaya among the most promising underutilized leafy vegetables for the tropics because it delivers a high yield of edible biomass with very little input. It can be grown on marginal land, withstands periods of drought as well as heavy rains, and is much less demanding than many common vegetables that fail when the weather swings too far in either direction. Once established, a single shrub can be harvested repeatedly through the year, supplying basket after basket of leaves from a small footprint. For households in rural areas where hospital is too far, is not just a nickname but a reality. A plant like that is not a trend, it is insurance. So where does this leave you if you are seeing chaya for the first time? On one side of the scale, you have a shrub whose cooked leaves beat spinach for protein, iron, calcium and vitamin C that grows aggressively in hot climates and that has supported communities in Mexico, Central America and parts of Africa for generations. On the other side, you have a genuine risk if you try to shortcut tradition, skip the boiling step, or treat it like a raw juice ingredient. Chaya is a powerful plant, and powerful plants usually come with rules. Respect those rules and you get a resilient, cut-and-come-again leafy vegetable that can quietly raise the nutritional floor of an entire household. Ignore them and people will keep pointing at the word cyanide as their reason to leave this shrub untouched. If you live in a climate where chaya will grow, you could plant a single cutting and watch how quickly it turns sunlight, heat, and neglected corners of your yard into something your great-grandparents would have called food. If you do not, you can still take the underlying lesson with you every time you walk past a plant that has been flattened into one word, weed, pest, poisonous, without anyone explaining the full story. Because the question that started with chaya is bigger than one shrub. How many other plants that could quietly strengthen our diets have been pushed into the shadows, not because they failed us, but because we never bothered to learn how to use them properly? If you have ever grown chaya, eaten it, or watched someone cook it the old way, share what you know so more people can see past the warning label and into the pot. And if you want to keep exploring plants like this, foods that look like problems from one angle and solutions from another, make sure you stay tuned, because this is just one leaf on a very big tree.